So when we go for SSB, what is the screening test?
Okay, when you go for the SSB interview to the service selection center, the screening test is done to identify few among the entire crowd as appropriate, and thereafter detailed test of there is done. During our earlier times, when I had given our SSB more than 20 years plus back, that time there was no screening process. So we just went there, we stayed for 6 days, and then we got recommended, we did medicals and other things. But now the process has changed. They have started a screening test where they try to identify the essential attributes of a candidate, and thereafter the complete test is thereafter given. In the screening test, there are 4 sections if we rightly identify. Number 1 section is, of course, intelligence test. That also is of 2 kinds, verbal and non-verbal, which is mixed also. And then we've got a PPT where we are supposed to write a story. And after a story, we are supposed to do a narration of the story. And then the third part includes doing a group discussion where you can come down to a common story. So this process has different aspects, and on basis of this, we are able to screen in some voice and screen out some voice. This is the complete process of screening. Thank you.
What is the intelligence test and what is its purpose?
See, intelligence test is of 2 kinds. One is verbal, one is non-verbal. Anybody who is giving a SSB interview is surely at least 16 years of age, or maybe close to it, but not less than that. So by the time we assume that the candidate should have had a good amount of education so that he can understand and thereafter act. So if a person is able to understand and act, then only we will be able to train him further. So in the reasoning test, particularly the verbal reasoning test, we identify how quickly he can understand a question and how quickly he can act on it. So this is one of the reasons. Second, how easily is it adapt to understanding the different questions. Plus, we also give him a roundabout language, which is what happens in one of the intelligence tests. We give you something in a confused manner and we expect you to do that, right? So therefore, in all these tests, that is intelligence test, where roundabout question, again we are looking at, will you be able to read? Because if you cannot understand anything, then there's no point to talk further. So that is something which we do in verbal reasoning. And when we talk about non-verbal reasoning, it's all about how well you can visualize. Because in non-verbal, you have to visualize, you have to have application of logic, you have to have a sense of identification, what is similar, what is dissimilar, what is odd. So there the ability of reasoning comes into play. So a person's thinking capacity comes into front. So if a person is not able to think basic, then we have a problem. We cannot select him. So we do expect you to do well, but it is not this criteria that if you do extremely well, we are going to select you. We're going to grade you, and we want to see the other aspects also of yours. Generally, a person is expected to do fairly well in the reasoning test. Yes, practice can certainly improve your performance, because practice can expose you to a reasoning process. But that does not mean that all the questions which you have practiced will come into that. So there will be more questions. But if you have a thinking and reasoning power, then in the new questions also you will be able to answer. That is the idea, and that you must prepare for. So I think reasoning test is all about how you can run your mind, how you can communicate, how you can read communication, how you can understand communication. It's a complete test. Is it clear? That is it. So there are 2 kinds, as I've already told you. Any other doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So what is PPDT test?
Okay, PPDT test. Well, actually in PPDT there are 3 parts, but let's talk about the first part. PPDT test is inclusive of 3 parts: story writing, then they will come down to narration, and then they will come down to group discussion. Now, what is there in PPT? First, we generally give you an instruction. Okay, so that is, we show you a picture for say 30 seconds, and the whole hall or wherever you're sitting will be dark, and there will be a screen, and you'll be having a picture there for 30 seconds. You're supposed to observe it, and after that, we will give you a sheet where you're supposed to correlate, read the picture, and mark the sheet with a box, like which a box. For example, the picture is also like a box, so automatically the box will also be there in a sheet on the top. You are supposed to identify how many characters did you see. You saw 4, so make 4 dots. Where did you see? 1 in the center, so make a dot in the center. 1 you saw in left corner, make a dot in the left corner. You saw in the right corner, put a right corner. If you want one more was nearby, little below the center, make it below the center. So that means the 4 characters you have enumerated with the points. Then they also give you an instruction that write their age, whatever you have presumed, approximate age you have written down with that point also. Then they sometimes ask you what is their gender, whether it is a male or a female, so you write down that also. Then they will ask you what is the mood, positive, negative or neutral, so you'll have to write that also down. They also sometimes also ask you, in addition to all this, that whoever is going to be your central character, which you want to make as a hero, because they tell you that you have to identify one person as a hero and then make a story that what did the person see, what he thought, what he did, and what was the result. So automatically this whole thing comes up in that. So automatically what you are supposed to do is, you have to make a circle. Suppose you feel this boy in the center or the girl in the center is your central character, so you will make a small circle around it, encircle it. So this will identify, this will be clear that okay, this is your central character. Now central character does not mean a person who is sitting in the center. It can be anyone, whomever you want to make as a hero. Okay, and then they also have a separate title area where you are supposed to write what did you see. Suppose you saw that somebody is gone and rescued a person or helped a person, so you'll have to write down helping. If you have felt that okay, it is an awareness movement, so you can write down awareness movement. Whatever you want to feel, you can give the title so that we can get a theme of your story right in that line. This is called titling of the story. Rest, you will be given a complete rest paper in which you are supposed to write down. Generally, the time given is 4 minutes to write down the story. To do all these things, writing the points and other things, you're given 1 minute. So in 1 minute you do that, and then you write down, 4 minutes you write down the story. In a 4 minutes time, a person comfortable with his thoughts, comfortable with his confidence, can certainly write a story right from 70 to 110, 120 words approximately. And that should convey what you really want to write. So if you're writing very less, you're not able to write more than 60 words, you're writing very less, so that means you're not able to develop your thought. But if you're writing too much, that also feels that as if you are writing a cut paste copy photograph. Well, you should develop the thought there on the spot related to the picture and thereafter write. That is what they expect you. This is stage 1. Now stage 2, they expect you after this is over, they'll give you a few minutes break, and after that you will come down, you will do your narration one by one. You may be a group of 16 to 22 people, and you will be sitting in a semicircle. So you are supposed to read out your story, and when you read out your story, they will listen to your story, and after your read out is over, everybody's read out is over, immediately there will be a group discussion. They will tell you that you have to discuss the topic, and the discussion will not focus on your story, it will focus on coming to a conclusion story where you can contribute, you can accept to someone, and then go ahead with it. This is the way they are expecting you to do. So in the entire process, they will find out about you. This is a general view. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Yes, any deep questions, please?
So, what is the role of narration of a story?
See, narration exposes the communication level of yours. I expect that it is very important to tell you one thing. There is 2 types of communication. One is simple communication and one is effective communication. Simple communication is where you're speaking, and effective communication is where the other person is also understanding what you rightly said in the right manner, in the right tone, and in the right perspective of really comprehending it. Is it clear? So what is expected during the narration to be effective in communication? He should be reading out very coolly, very calmly, very clearly. Any stammering, any hesitation only will speak ill of your confidence. So narration does make an impact, particularly on that account, because you are not able to read out the story comfortably. They'll give you 1 minute for that, and it's sad that you would not be able to certainly command men, because you need to be a good speaker. You need to communicate as a leader. It is expected of you. So when you read out properly, you read. I don't want you to write. There's a very big myth among many people, many big confusions, that if a person speaking fluently is doing very well. No. Not fluently. We expect you to be more clear. Clarity should be there. That does not mean that you will speak very slow, but that also does not mean that you will speak very fluently. I always advise people to go for the readout, then they should use clause style. Clause style means, I'll give a demonstration here. Respected sir, my dear friends, I'd like to tell about my story. My story is about a farmer. He had 2 sons. One day he was going there. Now you're seeing that what I'm doing is I'm picking few words together and speaking it very clearly. So if you learn to speak clearly and learn with a robust voice, with a confident voice of yours, I think you're getting screened in, no doubt. Narration does hold a point because it, it communicates to the officer who's evaluating you that you are good in communication and you'll be able to do the job. Of course, during the training, your communication will further be enhanced, but at least the basic raw structure should be there. Got it? Thank you. Thank you. Your question, please.
Sir, how should we develop a story, or what should be written in a story to be seen as an effective story?
Well, on the true science, any story which communicates to the other a message is considered a story. So whenever you're writing something where you are, indirectly or directly by your character, you're writing something which is your thought process as an experience is a story. And you all have gone through a number of experiences. So whenever you write something, suppose you've seen a picture of a student standing and you want to write a story and you are able to recall how as a student there was an experience which you went through. So you can write that. That is a story. But sometimes while writing, you should be confident of whatever you're writing. You should have a small picture and correlation so that at least a person can understand that, okay, you've written about a student. Now there are some people who waste a lot of time talking about the student. There was a student, he was this, he was that. We don't want that. Don't waste your time. Because remember, your instructions in the story writing before that will be very clear that please don't describe. Just come to the character, show what he saw, what did he think, and what did he do, or what did he further think, and what was the final action, and what was the conclusion. That's all. So when you are supposed to do that, you don't have to waste time that this boy, he was like this, he was like that. You don't have. You just have to come to the point that there was a boy, one day he went there, he saw that this was there, so he thought what to do. An idea came into his mind, he thought, why not I do this? So he went forward, he started helping. There were certain other things also which was required, so he thought over that also, and he did those also. And as a result of the comprehensive action, the situation which he faced was resolved, and thus he ended up, and then he returned back, or he went on to wherever he was going. This can be a story. We don't expect you to write some fantabulous story because we want you to be original with your own thoughts. Don't wear a dress that does not fit your size. Wear anything which you feel is natural. Everything is positive in the world. Everything which you write is positive. You just have to write whatever you really feel. Of course, anything in life has to move on with a positive angle, because if I think that tomorrow there is no tomorrow, then unfortunately my action in today will be zero. So everybody believes in positivity of tomorrow. And therefore, the same thing you must follow. You should never believe that there is a problem which you could never solve. So, well, if that is a problem, then I'm sorry to say that we don't want you. We want people who are confident on themselves. We means the SSB people. They want people who are confident in themselves, who are able to understand and think of a problem or think of a solution and act on it and get the result. That's it. So that is the way you have to write a story. There can be a number of stories. If you are shown a farmer, then you have to imagine about a farmer. If you are shown a person sitting on a plane, then you have to think of a pilot. So there are a number of stories possible. And you should not fear from writing it down. Always remember that there is going to be a new sunrise tomorrow. Is it clear? Thank you very much.
So, sir, what is the role of GD in screening?
Yes, GD is the third portion of screening, and basically in the group discussion they want to see your courage, public courage to come out and speak. They also look forward to how you approach toward the group discussion. There are many people who, while in the group discussion, they think that the group discussion is to force their story as the final story. No. The group discussion has a purpose to come to a common story. Remember, the armed forces is a cooperative unit where logic prevails, where wisdom is respected and saluted, and the officer always follows the path of wisdom. So same is here. We expect you to give wise suggestions so that you can discuss and come to a common point. We do not want you to create ruckus. We do not want you to create a lot of turmoil in the group by shouting loud and creating a problem. We want you to cooperatively come to a conclusion. And there we also want you to be analyzing from your mind so that you can come to a conclusion. Because you cannot have a standard procedure of conclusion. You have to be proactive, analytical, and at the point, using all the different suggestions there, come to a common conclusion. So that does not go by the fact that whom you like or whom you dislike, but rather what is the best points. So there are many times when you walk into group discussion and you feel that, okay, I'm not going to agree with this person, I'm not going to agree with this person. No, we are not looking at that. We are looking at how you come to a common conclusion, what seems logical at that point of time, so that some story can come out. Yes, while discussing, your reference should be related to the picture. Your reference can be related to the different readouts. Your reference can be about related to the different ideas which people have said. And from those different ideas, you can create a conclusive story. You can make an effort. It is not necessary that you complete the effort, but it is necessary to make the effort. There is a possibility that the group may suddenly not cooperate and not allow you to complete the effort, but at least your effort should be visible. Your participation should be there once, twice, whatever the opportunity, but please do not try to over-dominate the proceedings by not letting others speak and only speak by yourself. So you can give one or two suggestions, but also let others also come up so that you can come to a conclusion. Now this is a very vague and abstract condition. So it can only be done there effectively. When the end result will come, the officer will also understand that you have said nicely. Your intention should be clear. You should participate like a team player, not like a coach ordering others. but as a team player, contributing in the game. So these are the ways you can do the group discussion. Now I am sorry to say, but then in an abstract order, it is not possible. So I always advise all the candidates, whoever are preparing, to somewhere participate in group discussion exercise. That can be in the neighborhood, join some English speaking classes, walk into some preparation. They can also go down to a psychologist, whomever they prefer, and learn about creating a cooperative aura, creating and practicing with the dynamics of different natures. And I'm sure they will do well. That's it. Thank you.
What are some special advices related to screening with respect to your 26 years of experience in Law Military Academy?
Well, Law Military Academy has been for approximately now 33 years. Yes, I joined 26 years back and have been working as a faculty captain and chief trainer. In those long experiences, there has been wonderful efforts of the students. We have had more than 1200 odd people making it as a proper officer. And lately, if I start counting in the numbers, I think we'll go further. But I realized that the efforts of the students were foremost. I have always been a guide, and they have been the performers. I believe, and I would like to say thank you to the different number of officers who are already part of the small fraternity which we call Law Military. But in this, I want to be very clear that whenever I told them that they have to practice their communication skill, they did well. Because you have to develop your communication skill to the level of being loud, effective, and clear. That does not mean that you have to be loud unnecessarily, but you can vary it dependent on the circumstances. You should be in command of what you are speaking. You should always use your etiquettes, manners, which are connecting factors. Always use your logical thought process while communicating to the others, because that will connect you to the group and get you the acceptability of the group. If the group will not accept, how are you going to prove your leadership? So therefore, we always suggest that you should practice well and always not focus on idiosyncrasies, eccentricities. Rather, you should focus on the logics of coming to a common skill. I think is not important. You have to create a we think approach. And for we think, somewhere you will have to slash down the I to that level that we can come up. And if you do that, I'm sure Army is going to be welcoming you. You have any other extra point which you want to ask, please?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sir, as I am a BTech graduate, so what should be my point to write a story in SSB?
You are a BTech graduate, but you have many facets of personalities as well. That includes the family, that includes your contemporary experience. Contemporary means at the present moment you are working somewhere, right?
Yes, in Cognizant as a software developer.
So when you're working there, so you're coming from there. So contemporary, remember one thing, whenever a person walks into any place, the contemporary psychology always remains afloat in his mind, afloat. I hope you understood what you mean by afloat. ऊपर तैरती रहती है बेटा, और वही that makes it very important for us to correlate. So if something is afloat, then I want to ask you, along with your job, what you used to do in Calcutta?
Sir, some social work related to the CSR.
Okay. So whenever you're getting a situation there, suppose you're getting a situation where there's a person sitting on an office writing something and there are other people, you can always write about whatever you feel. You can write about there is a character, he has a company, he's working on this project, and then how he works with them together. This can be one story. If they give you a general situation of public, whatever you do in CSR can also be there, where you can say that so and so was working in such and such company and on the basis of a project of corporate social relief fund, he gets an opportunity to go out to Calcutta and help the poor. So what you identified, like anything, for example, if you've gone to Kalighat there in Calcutta, you can always write that he went there, he saw the poor people, then he proposed that they can help them like this way, they can help them by creating some work for them, because I do not feel any social work should be just superficial. It should be something deeper. It should not be a one-day affair. It should be something more than that. So, if you really want to help a society, you should not only just give him 2 rupees or 10 rupees or 100 rupees, because that does not make a difference. The contribution should be something substantial. That should be in terms of dress, it can be in terms of books, or in terms of teaching them art, history or skills. So you can always come up with that. You can come up that he goes there and teaches, if you've done that also. Please do not make up any story, right from your heart. Whatever you have done, which has been substantial, you can refer in your story. So automatically you can write down the event there. They decided that they will train some people on carpenting, or they train the people on the local requirements, so that those people can then do the job and earn their day-to-day life and not beg there. So you can always write a story like that, and I'm sure as a CSR that is the objective. So write it freely, write what comes to mind. Yes, you tell me what give me some credentials about you. I'd like to give you also an example.
Yes, sir. So my name is Arvind Srivastava and I am graduated BCA, and I am currently working in Capgemini as a software associate. So what is my theme of writing a story?
Well, I'm not going to define that. That is going to be your thought, but I can give you a suggestion, because that depends on person to person. You don't have to copy my suggestion and write there, but you can get an idea, a general idea. So, for example, you're there, you're working in your day-to-day company, while going to your office, while coming back from your home, whenever you are doing your job from your home also, you must be doing day-to-day activities, you must be going and helping in your home situation, you must be helping people in the neighborhood. So you can write n number of stories where you have helped in the neighborhood and what exactly you did.
Yes.
Or the way you thought about them and the way they think about you, you can write that. That also can be a story. So it is not a story that you have to have a formatted story of some kind, because psychology is unique. Everybody has a different thought process, and everybody should stick to their thought process, because that is called self-confidence. If you are writing a story which is not matching yours, or it does not refer to you, it will certainly, a psychologist who is evaluating your story will read that you are not writing from your heart. So write something from your heart. So you can write something which is from your day-to-day activity. You can also write something when you have helped somewhere, or you can write a story related to your hobby or related to your social work. Depends on the kind of condition which it triggers. Suppose, for example, if you have thought of a story that you want to write on social work, but there's a person who's playing a guitar. So now you cannot write a story on a social work. You'll have to write something on the guitar, something on a music concert. So what you have done or what you have not done also matters. Suppose you have not played guitar, but you have assisted people. If you have been a chorus to the singing in a group song, you can write a story for that also. That one of the person was playing guitar, whereas you did chorus. So write something which comes from your heart, which comes from your inner part. You would also like to question, please. Yes.
Sir, as I have done a graduation by BSc with many projects, and I also take parts in many events like debate, essay writing. So how can I correlate myself with this story?
Depends. If you're writing about, suppose they're showing you a situation for people. I'm just giving a proposal. I'm not saying that you have to write this only, because it will be very rigid and very foolish of yours not to correlate what the picture is being shown. But I can give you an idea. Suppose there are 4 people standing together, and you basically you are giving a debate or something, and then you naturally, when you give debate, what do? You collect your 4 friends, and you sit down and give the debate to them. So you can come up with a story that there is a character, she has to go for a debate, so what she does is request all her 4 friends to please collect, and then she tells the debate in front of them for a practice session. They give him some suggestions, or they give them, the girl gives them some suggestion, and then she imbibes that, she develops that, she practices again and again. So this way she goes on and does well. So you can write a story like that also. Or you can write a story that if you want to point a problem, and being a good debater, she had the confidence of talking, she found 4 people are having some conflict, so she went ahead and then she helped them talk and resolve their problems. That also you can write. So anything you can write. It depends on what is going to be your first thought, but it should come from your heart. It should come because your heart is reflective of your past, is reflective of your desires, your aims, and that is something which is reflective in your personality as well. So whenever you write something which is not matching your personality, neither in terms of your thinking process, neither in terms of your background, then maybe that story may not go well. Because many people, out of fear, they do not write their heart stories. They write stories which are generally visible in the YouTube or the social media or different places, and they copy that story and try to write it. Please be yourself and be confident of yourself. God will bless you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.